Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Pro Wrestling Logic YouTube channel and the World Class Championship Wrestling review series. We are in the month of March, or entering the month of March 1983, and this is the March 5th, 1983 edition. We open with General Skandar Akbar giving updates on Kabuki and Kamala. He lets us know that he does not trust Kamala to be anything but a single star. Kamala is a bit of he stops short of saying savage, but he's very clear that Kamala is a bit out of the range of what most people would take on. He also lets us know that Kabuki will be back in a matter of a few weeks, and he is clear that he does not have any desire to have a normal group of wrestlers. He is very happy with his investments both in wrestling and in oil, and he is clear about that as well. We move into Iceman King Parsons, who is a relative newcomer to the area over the last couple of months, against a gentleman that we've known for a while here, the Magic Dragon, with Arman Hussein. I don't remember hearing a reason per se why Gary Hart disappears, but found a version of his book online in audio format. I might give that a listen, so maybe I can find out where he went in 1983. I could also look on Wikipedia, but I'd rather hear from Gary. Gary's a really smart guy. Anyway, who passed away too soon by far. Anyway, so really basic match here. Parsons, still a guy that they're trying to get over, still a guy that they don't want to overdo it with. They get literally 90 seconds, 2 minutes out of a Greco-Roman knuckle lock, and he's bouncing around and having a good old time. The Dragon immediately goes after him, sends him into the buckle. Of course, they do the racially motivated Samoans and African Americans have hard head bit, and which obviously would not play today. Not sure where that came from. I would assume the television era of the 50s, if not before. But anyhow, it's there, and it's not playing well in 2020, to say the very least. He does end up getting the victory here. One thing that I like about him here, especially in Texas, is that he is a bit of a brawler. And they have brawling baby faces. They do not, brawling heels. They do not have an abundance of brawling baby faces. And I think that helped him to stand out. Even a guy like a King Kong Bundy, who you would think would be just a brawler because of his size, they have him do too many, in my estimation, wrestling maneuvers. And we continue to see that. Don't quite understand it. But anyway, they get about a good 10 minutes here. And one thing I also like is that they'll go back to the same strikes multiple times. He and Dragon both actually do this. And he's got a good leapfrog on him. He uses the butt that later was used by Goldust to gain the victory. Arman Hussein runs in, gives him trouble, and then there we go. We then move on to a match with Al Madril and Toriatsu versus Al Madril and Toriatsu against each other. Before the match, General Akbar, Adnan Akbar, two different territories. Basic same gimmick in a lot of ways. But anyway, Akbar in there with Bundy and saying that he wants Kabuki or he wants Yatsu rather. He will team with Kabuki eventually, and he wants to get rid of the remnants of the old H&H Limited. Does Bundy, and Bundy kind of hanging around in there, a little bit confusing, but Bundy even holds the rope open for his manager at the time, which just shows a sign of differential respect that he did not have for Gary Hart, except maybe in the very early beginning. Yatsu with the sumo style, I don't know that I'd say strikes, but they're there. Um, stances. Then we see him hit a bunch of martial arts level strikes, and Madril is having difficulty. Obviously, the role here for Madril to get Yatsu over at a whole nother level, and he does succeed at this. They go a little longer than they need to, I think. There's actually a backbreaker there that is well done by Yatsu. Yatsu takes the majority of the match, as is to be expected. Jump sidekick and the like to get the martial arts thing over. It's interesting that I would say the vast majority of heels throughout Texas and throughout Texas in '82 and into the first part of '83 do have a martial arts nature to them. Yatsu also uses the stomach claw, sometimes gaining a victory with it. He does gain at least a partial victory here. And Arman Hussein has to pull his man off. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin is on set with Sunshine. He basically says he wants nothing to do with dealing with the Von Erichs. He wants nothing to do with dealing with the Freebirds. I don't know whether it's a pool or a hot tub. I'd assume a hot tub in the middle of March. But Garvin basically says he still does not want to be seen wrestling. He later relents on this when he is going for the Texas Championship. But needless to say, he protects for another couple weeks yet his right not to wrestle on television. And then we see David Von Erich against Buddy Roberts, the third Freebird. Some would say the least of the Freebirds in some ways, although he can get a good match out of just about anybody, but he certainly is not nearly as featured as Gordy or Hayes is at this time. I'm sure that will change, but he seems to have the role of being a guy who, gets attention for the team without being as focused on wins. They get probably about 8 minutes or so here. Very basic. David is dominant with his more flying type stuff, although Roberts does come back with body slams and actually puts him up on the ropes, kicks him pretty hard, and just uses every heel tactic he can use to gain as easy a victory as possible. We also then see that there is a spot where David sends Buddy into the rope area and he gets tied up in the buckles. Buddy spends a good bit of the match, a couple minutes anyway, begging off and begging not to be beat up any further. Obviously, with what the Freebirds have done, David does not oblige. But we see basic wrestling headlocks and takeovers and the like for the next several minutes. When the few times that Roberts gets on top in the situation, he is always looking to cheat and cut corners. Von Erich is certainly the babyface, goes without saying, but they do some interesting things. Claw used by Von Erich, though, in the ropes with the claw, which the referee does not like, and ultimately this does not go well for Von Erich either, as the Freebirds run out and attack him. He wins by disqualification and laid out by the Freebirds. Obviously, post-match, David says he wants to get all of the Freebirds in the ring with his brothers down the road, and we will eventually see that in the weeks to come. But a relatively basic feeling to this episode of World Class, but certainly by this point, the Freebirds and the Von Erichs are in, I wouldn't say full swing, but almost full swing. And we close for today with this episode. We will be back with more. So stay right here for more of the World Class Review series.